The everything crash just worsened. What do I mean when I say this? In today's video, we are going to be going through a multitude of statistics. If we're currently in a recession, if we're still heading towards a recession, what does the price of oil tell us? What is the future going to look like? Are they going to continue to raise interest rates? And a lot more. Before we dive into that, make sure to smash the thumbs up button. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Furthermore, let's dive into this right now, brothers. Now, first and foremost, right now in these uncertain times, all these videos you've been watching, all this financial education you've been going over, all these metrics, right now is really to put those principles and that information you have learned into effect. Now, the reason I say that is because with these asset vehicles getting beaten down, with us going into, what I believe is further of a recession, there's going to be a lot of opportunities available. There's going to be good times to deploy capital and really do the opposite against what the mass amount of people are doing. This goes back to, buying low and selling high, to getting involved in a multitude of asset vehicles. And, being able to increase your return on investment and really pick out solid companies and solid investments that are going to increase your ROI. Furthermore, let's dive into this slideshow right now. Let's dive into all those metrics I talked about earlier. So first and foremost, on Twitter, Elon Musk, someone says, do you think we're approaching a recession? Elon says yes, but this is actually a good thing. It has been raining money on fools for far too long. Some bankruptcies need to happen. Also, all the COVID stay-at-home stuff has tricked people into thinking that you don't actually need to work hard. He says a rude awakening is inbound, and I could not agree anymore. Now, secondly, the consumer price index. Now, we've gone over this before. This is measuring inflation. Typically, they estimated that it was going to be about 8.1%. Now, mind you, that is a 40-year all-time high. But it actually came in at 8.3%. And something to keep in consideration is we have gas prices lengthening and continue to increase. We have price of goods and services continue to increase. CPI is really not a true metric that I like to look at as far as how high certain goods and services actually are, as I believe some of them are way more priced over than what they actually put into perception and they, put into the market and data for us. However, it was 0.3% in March and 0.6% in April for the core CPI. So that's something to also keep in mind. So with that being said, I believe the Fed is going to have to continue to raise interest rates. Inflation could actually get higher, believe it or not. I think we are not done with inflation. I think it's going to continue to escalate as well. And the crypto markets as well has been getting destroyed. Now, obviously, we're going to dive into what happened in Luna and how that affected the markets and Terra, but if you look at the fear and greed index, it's pretty much just dead at this point. Crypto has been getting crushed. Now, going back to that attack, it was about a $650 million attack, and Bitcoin is chilling around $30,000, the lowest that we have seen in a long span of time. It has decent resistance around the 28,000 range, but I think as we continue to further progress into this recession, I think crypto is going to get hit a lot harder than many people anticipate. Now, why do I say that? Well, crypto's actually never been through a true recession. The last recession was in 08 and 09, and crypto was not out yet. It actually came out around 2010 to 2012. And that's when Bitcoin, started to become more mainstream. And over the time, yes, Bitcoin has done very well. It's been the highest, pretty much, ROI or return on an asset vehicle that you can get. But with that being said, it's very speculative, very volatile, and I think we'll see more pain ahead, especially as we continue to progress in this recession if we are already in one. Now, the person that shorted Terra or Luna, they profited about $800 million overall. And the total assets of the U.S. Federal Reserve, as you can see here, not only crypto, but what's happening is we're starting to get quantitative tightening. Now, we had quantitative easing, which is when, they inject $1.5 trillion into the economy through the repurchase of agreements or a form of short-term lending. This is what happened in 2020. This is what happened during COVID. But now what is happening is we're having quantitative tightening. And that's when the Fed pulls money from its balance sheets that they deployed into the equities market. Now, if you can see right here, in 2018, from October to December, they had a quantitative tightening. That was about 3 months. And as you can see, the markets lost about 13.97% or $50 billion. Now, with that being said, also, how much more quantitative tightening is going to come? How much more Fed increase rates are going to happen? These are some of the dates that they still have set out to be. So we still have a multitude of dates ahead of us, maybe 25 or 50 basis point increases, as we're saying, and most likely 0.5 going forward, in my opinion. They're really going to have to increase these interest rates, which is going to make the housing market and other assets look less and less attractive because people aren't going to be able to borrow as much money for such a good deal. So again, most likely going forward, we're going to have about a 50 basis point or 0.5% increase in interest rate hikes. Now, again, we're going through very uncertain times. Right now is really to put in the practices and information you have learned from Brotherhood Finance and from other channels. And by the way, if you've watched this far, please make sure to smash that thumbs up button. It really means a lot. Thank you for being part of the Brotherhood. We're, getting and continuing to grow, and I really appreciate all the support. Much love as always. But back into the video. If you look at this chart right here, it's very important to keep in mind that time can either be your best asset or your worst asset, as we always say. Now, the reason I say this is even during economic uncertainty in the 1930s, if you were just to put a one-time purchase of $10,000 into the stock market in today's given age in 2020, it would be worth roughly $1.78 million. So it's important to keep in mind, you need to be dollar cost averaging. That's not a financial advice. This is financial education, but it's always important to just dollar cost average, make your way into the market. You can never time the market. You never know when the market's going to bottom, and the market will always, and I mean always, recover. You're really going to get tested in the next 12 to 24 months if you understand those three rules, because it's easy. I mean, absolutely easy to hold your positions and not to sell when stuff's going up. But when stuff's going down, you really need to treat and train your mind to buy low. Do the opposite of what you would do. Now, going back to cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. People like to look at the all-time highs when really I like to track the all-time lows. So for example, in 2019, BTC had a low of $3,399, in 2020, $5,014, and 2021, $28,723. So we're seeing an increase. Now, one of the most important things we are looking at next is crude oil. Now, the reason this is important is because in 2008, we also had a drastic increase in oil prices, which increased the price of gasoline. And as we are seeing right now with a lot of the implementations that our government has put into place, as far as trade deals, as far as shutting down the pipeline and other economic things that are occurring in the globe, we have seen that oil prices are increasing. Now, if you look right now, around right now on, it's about $122.8 for Brent crude, and for WTI it's about 115. Now, why is that important? That is important because if you look at crude oil prices on a historical chart, you can look at 2008, and if you look at the yearly high, it was $145.31. That's important because that is very similar to where I think oil is going to continue to go, which is going to further continue to increase inflation, further continue to increase the price of goods and services, not only oil, and further continue to increase the quantitative tightening from the Fed, as well as an increase in interest rates to control the economy and inflation overall. So that is my opinions. I do think inflation could continue to get even higher than people anticipate. I think oil will continue to increase drastically. And I think we are still in the very beginning stages of a recession. But with all the information I gave you, you now know how to earn, keep, and multiply your money. And you know why it is important to buy low and sell high, and how psychology is really 80% of investing, and intelligence and information is 20. Furthermore, brothers, if you found value in this video, please make sure to smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out our website at Brotherhood Finance if you want to cop some merch, and if you want to join the membership down below for our YouTube channel and become a part of the Brotherhood exclusively, make sure to do that. Furthermore, have a great rest of your day, a good rest of your weekend. Peace, brothers.